You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do?
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So while we're looking at colleges and some of their BS degrees, interestingly, some colleges are going to give you a degree in influencing. You could actually learn how to be an influencer. Now, believe it or not, I am not 1,000% against that. You'd think I would be with all the stupid degrees out there. But with my sons, it was interesting because I was a little naive thinking that they were growing up in the same world I was. You become a cop, you become a pilot, you become a teacher, you become a nurse, you become a doctor. And one of my kids, he wanted to either be a doctor or engineer or whatever, and he went and did that. He went into engineering school and he's an engineer. And the other one said, I go, what do you want to be? He goes, I want to be a billionaire, so flipping bad. That song. I'm like, okay, yeah, but let's be serious. I want to, make money on YouTube. I want to be an influencer. This was years ago. I'm like, okay. After you get out of La La Land, what are you going to do? He goes, these are the ones making money. And I'm like, okay, I'm done having this conversation with you. You're going to go and get a degree in something. And very interestingly, you're seeing these reports where high school grads are making more money than college grads. These influencers actually are setting up business models. They're creating content. They're advertising. They're marketing. They're reaching out to sponsors. Some of these are really legitimate business models. I was watching the Raiders game. Fernando Mendoza. I'm actually excited about the Raiders. It's the first time in a very, very long time. Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza is going to be one of the backup quarterbacks to Kirk Cousins. And his brother, Max Mendoza, has become an influencer. And this kid is a real sharp kid. He's getting the interviews. He's asking the questions. He's making it entertaining. There's some talent that's required, some savvy, and a business model in there. So if the colleges are like, look, I don't think we're going to be able to sell women's studies and anthropology and some of these other degrees. Apparently, Arizona State University is one such university that has introduced a bachelor's degree in content creation. It's delivered through its Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Now, this core curriculum overlaps with their existing mass communication and media studies, with the primary distinction of special electives in podcasting, studio production, and on-camera presence. Now, this announcement has drawn a lot of criticism. People don't think content creation is is a legitimate profession, etc. But I got to tell you, I've been doing content creation now for 17 years. Articles, media interviews. Now, we do now have a society where everybody and their mother seems to be on camera and in the media. And it is becoming very, very saturated. But that's where some people are making money. So you wonder who's training them. And if you are offering a degree in communications, are you making them media savvy, camera savvy, content savvy? Are you teaching them about copyright? Are you teaching them about pitfalls where they could get sued? What? So it's interesting. ASU is not the first. Apparently, there's been other universities that are doing this. They are expanding the content creation industry. Syracuse, Colorado State. So, it's interesting because I got to tell you, people always say, the Gen Zs, they're lazy, they're snowflakes. I disagree. The Gen Zs learn workarounds. right? For those that really want to get out there and do, they do. You have some lazy people. You have lazy people in all generations. But I got to tell you, if they think they're going to be losing jobs with old school going to the office, doing data entry, they got to find another way to get out there. Now, there's responsibility and there's some great care. You need to be really, really careful about what you go out there and say. And a lot of content creators are thinking to themselves, look, I got to get the person to listen to me. And so you have these Hassan Pikers now deciding that they're going to get more views saying ridiculous stuff like 9/11 we deserved. And so I really caution, because I know people are looking at Hassan Piker going, well, wait a second, he's successful because he said this rogue anti-American stuff. Be careful. Okay, you could content create without making yourself look, like an idiot or a terrorist, right? Supporting Hamas and 9/11. But this is what the kids are seeing. They're not seeing their doctor mom or it's interesting because I asked the kids about medicine. I go, you always found that interesting. Are you interested in going into medicine? No. Why not? Because you weren't happy, Mom. I go, what do you mean? I'm always happy. I'm joking. They go, you left. You closed. You said Obamacare was, I go, yeah, I know I said that. I don't want that. I want to do medicine the way I want to do medicine. I don't want, a president changing the rules and then, you not being able to get paid for your work. And so that's, they're learning. They're watching our generation or the older generation, and they're seeing, wait a second, I got to think of something. I got to do something different. The old way to market your real estate company or your law company, you can't just go, okay, well, I'm going to wine and dine people or bribe them. No, you got to get out there and make content. 1-877-Dr. Don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
And we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So Tropical Storm Lala is continuing to strengthen in the Pacific. Forecasters believe it is going to become the first hurricane to strike Hawaii's Big Island in modern history. National Hurricane Center, according to Daily Mail, has updated Lala's path and severity Friday, warning that the storm will likely make landfall at hurricane strength early Saturday morning. Maui Emergency Management Agency Administrator Amos Lonokaula Hewitt warned Lala is strengthening, and we need people to prepare now for the potential for dangerous winds, heavy rain, flooding, and large waves. This would mark the first hurricane since accurate weather records began being kept in the 20th century. First hurricane to hit Hawaii's Big Island. I know we've been calling it Hawaii, but it's Hawaii. It's pronounced with a V. AccuWeather meteorologist Jesse Farrell said in a statement, a hurricane has never made landfall on the Big Island. Tropical storms Darby in 2016 and Iselle in 2014 are the only tropical storms to ever make landfall on Hawaii's Big Island. NHC upgraded their alert to an official hurricane warning for the Big Island and also issued tropical storm watches for all of Maui, which includes the islands of Maui, Molokai, Lanai, and Kaho'olaui. Lala has sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. If you remember, you have to be at least 74 miles per hour to be considered a hurricane. 60 miles per hour can still cause some damage. Once the storm arrived Saturday, AccuWeather's worst-case scenario warns that parts of the Big Island could see up to 30 inches of rain, deadly flash flooding, mudslides, wind gusts reaching 100 miles per hour, ocean surges approaching 6 feet. I know a lot of locals have been being interviewed, and they're like, oh, we're getting some good surf. But yes, this could be dangerous. The Big Island is not the capital. Oahu has the capital, all right, of Honolulu. But the Big Island is the most south of all the islands and the most east. So the heaviest rainfall and wind damage is expected to impact the eastern side of the Big Island. Forecasters now are predicting that the entire island chain will see at least 2 to 4 inches of rain this weekend. AccuWeather predicted that Lala will be a level 2 out of 5 storm on the real impact. The storm will likely cause wind damage to small buildings and trees, power outages, and significant property damage. So the issue with Hawaii is you're waterlocked. If they need resources, if they have power issues, if they need to get that from another island, or from the mainland, and they're out there, right? Thousands of miles separated from us. And so it's very concerning. Florida, sadly, gets hit a lot. The Gulf states get hit a lot, but we could bring in resources from other states. In this particular case, that could take some time. So all hands on deck. I believe America is already preparing. Because of storms, we do recommend blood donation. That's obviously a need, and when storms like this happen, those who need blood in the local medical centers and hospitals aren't going to be able to get what they need. So anything you can do to donate. We work with Blood Bank of Hawaii for Hawaii Blood Donation Day. They also work with American Red Cross and other blood banks in case they need. So, for those of you that want to help, hopefully they don't have devastating damage, but even a tropical storm could be enough to cause power outages, damage to buildings, trees, even fires. So lead hurricane expert Alex De Silva from AccuWeather says, despite never making landfall in Hawaii, Hurricane Hone, that came in 2024, brought more than 2 feet of rain to portions of the Big Island. It caused significant flooding as well as winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. So even though it was considered, not as significant a storm, it can still cause damage. They say the only other hurricane believed to have made landfall on the Big Island was the 1871 Kohala cyclone. but there were only unconfirmed reports from local newspapers. According to Hawaiian news outlet Big Island Now, the Kohala cyclone was a Category 3 when it struck on the north side of the Big Island on August 9th, 1871. Now, 1871, very, very difficult to get the records and to get, but whatever they were able to measure was able to put it at the category of a level 3. Category 1s, the winds are at least 74 miles per hour. Category 2, they're at least 96 miles per hour. Category 3, they have to be at least 111 miles per hour. Category 4, 130. Category 5, 157. So I'm sure they had the ability to measure, wind speed in 1871. But to me, if I was standing out there, I wouldn't know the difference between 130 and 95. I would be like, I'm getting blown away. Tropical Storm Lala, they believe, will reach Category 1 overnight. Their winds will then be between 75 to 95 miles per hour. Hopefully not more than that. 1 million people are spread out across the state. Honolulu, one of its most populous. Kaluhi, Kihei, very busy areas. Hawaii is in the peak of its summer travel right now. 250,000 vacationers are visiting beaches this summer. Maui is Hawaii's second largest island, one of the state's top vacation destinations. They welcomed 2.5 million visitors last year alone. And mind you, that was after the Lahaina fire. Many people stopped going to Maui because they felt that the Lahaina corridor, that was a big tourist draw, was not open yet at the time. And so still, despite that, they were able to capture 2.5 million visitors. There's a lot to do in Maui. It's not just all about Lahaina, but many people felt, you know what, let's let the island regroup. Before we go there, we'll go someplace else. I was at a medical conference, but the medical conference was held in Kauai. I love Kauai. Kauai is one of my favorite islands because it's more remote. It's not as populous, and it's just so lush, and the hiking and the waterfalls. I'm just in heaven when I'm in Kauai. But anywhere, any of those islands are absolutely beautiful. So Godspeed. Hope they're going to be okay. I know some of you are kind of going, wait a second, Lala, I don't remember that being on the name of hurricanes. Well, the Atlantic hurricanes are Arthur, Bertha, Cristobal, Dolly, Edward, Faye, Gonzalo, Hannah, Isaias, Josephine, Kyle, Leah, Marco, Nana, Omar, Paulette, Renee, Sally, Teddy, Vicky, and Wilfred. I'd really be nervous about a Hurricane Wilfred. I don't know if I'm going to want to see that one. However, with the Pacific, there are 2 Pacific listings. You got your Eastern North Pacific names of Amanda, Boris, Christina, Douglas, Alita, Fausto, Genevieve, Hernan, Isel, Julio, Karina, Lowell, Marie, Norbert. I love that movie, by the way. Odalis, Polo, Rachel, Simon, Trudy, Vance, Winnie, Xavier, Yolanda, and Zeke for the Eastern North Pacific. But the Central North Pacific has different names. Akoni, Emma, Honi, Iona, Kaylee, Lala, Moki, Nolo, Olana, Pena, Ulana, and Wale. Interestingly, they're already halfway down. Peak hurricane season is August through September. Now, what's happening with the Atlantic side? Well, we're being told that there is more activity that they're seeing now. The Atlantic hurricane season, because of the El Nino, and we've talked about El Nino. El Nino, we're in an El Nino year, and that usually means we're going to have a milder Atlantic, but that could suggest a more aggressive Pacific. We usually don't get a lot of Pacific storms. We might get some coming up through Mexico that might hit the southern states, which is kind of welcomed for a lot of southwestern United Staters, because we're always in a drought, and so getting some of those storms, which is why sometimes we get monsoon but usually the Pacific storms keep moving west, and that's why Hawaii could be at risk. But they're saying tropical Atlantic is surging. We're definitely seeing there are 2 current areas being closely watched, according to WXII. They're thinking the tropical Atlantic is going to become more active as the next couple weeks progress. And they say that there are 2 areas of tropical of interest. The first one is known as Invest 92L, moving towards the Caribbean. The second one is farther east in the Atlantic. Neither of these tropical waves right now pose any immediate threat to land, but the Lesser Antilles could be impacted first. So there might be one that's going to go through into the Gulf, and then one that might shoot up, according to their trackers. Tropical storm Cristobal formed Wednesday in the Central Atlantic, quickly became post-tropical on Thursday afternoon. Cristobal is the third named storm of the 2026 season. So it's been predicted that we're going to have still an active but a below normal, not as busy a season. I don't want to jinx it. It's only mid-August. But obviously, we're worried about Hurricane Dolly, right? Because that was my nickname. And that Dolly could be a real, nervous about that one. But most likely would lean to the right. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
And we're back in the Dr. Dolly Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I guess a woman has been accused of vandalizing the World War II Memorial in D.C. If you've ever been to D.C., you got to check out the World War II Memorial. It is, it's fantastic. It's a sight. Any of the sites in D.C., just absolutely amazing. And I actually like looking at the monuments at night. Walking around, I mean, now it's safer to do that. But, because D.C. used to be pretty dangerous and Trump kind of clamped down on that. But I was at the World War II Memorial with the lighting and the fountains. It was just, it's a sight to see. Please, please, please check it out. Well, there's individuals that just want to cause chaos and mayhem. And there's a woman who apparently has been accused of vandalizing it. She has been arrested, according to the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro. Melissa Ferris is facing 2 felony charges in federal court. Court documents show she's facing a count of willfully injuring or committing a depredation against property of the United States, as well as a count of destruction of a veterans memorial. Janine Pirro wrote, vandalizing a World War II memorial is a despicable attack on a sacred monument honoring the Americans who fought and died for our freedom. Those Americans include my father and grandfather. The memorial was vandalized Thursday with bubbles filling the fountain and graffiti that appeared to read, clean hands, dirty money. The suspect appears to have live streamed the incident on Facebook in an account under her name. She really wasn't worried, I guess, about just getting caught. The video was posted at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, shows her taking a spray paint can and then spray painting the memorial. She says, it was me, I'm doing it, I did it, it's on camera. You could tell this woman was out of her mind. Another live stream posted on Friday shows her actually turning herself in. Law enforcement responded to a call of a disorderly person on Thursday. They observed the woman as her later flee the area. And then she had a Kentucky driver's license and was arrested on the camping charge. Oh, she also had unlawful camping on federal property on August 10th. So, there was the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool chaos, where I believe Olympic canoeist David Hearn was accused of being involved in that when that case had to be dropped because the reflecting pool damage was the result of flawed installation. So that obviously was not a good look, for the Justice Department. There was, I guess, concern that somebody was picking stuff off, but if it was already, not installed well and coming up, and somebody going, "What is this?" No, then they can't be indicted. So, but this vandalism, it was caught on camera, and just not good. And as I said, there's people who are just wanting to cause destruction. They just and they want fame for it. They're live streaming it. I haven't been watching this, Perez Hilton trying to hurt himself on camera. I really haven't been following his career, and I'm still kind of confused as to who he is. I've heard about him, and that's how out of touch I am with some of these individuals that I just don't know who they are. But people want you would think, they would just go off and do their own thing. And no, they want people to know. They want people to know they're mad. They want people to know what they're doing. Either they're doing it for fame, they're doing it for notoriety, or they're doing it for help. And not sure why the World War II memorial, why she was targeting that. But, I also think it's just a lack of education with some of these individuals, because if anybody saw, what happened with D-Day, what we went through with the Battle of the Bulge, what we went through, during the trials and tribulations of the war, Pearl Harbor, you wouldn't even think to do those things. And so you wonder, where is their education coming from? Every child was supposed to have learned about World War II, World War I, patriotism, slavery, learned about our past, our history, so we could learn and be better Americans. And then they grow up as adults, and then they decide to do these things. I mean, I'm assuming this person's American. Maybe they're not. But we over the last few years have gotten this attitude where we could take down statues and destroy them and do all this, sort of vandalism, and it is going to be credited and honored. And part of the reason why this is happening is, these individuals running for office. Abdul El Sayed, I don't know much about him, except he went to medical school, but he never practiced medicine, so he's technically a doctor. But I don't believe he's ever really done full on, patient care or has board scores or board certifications, whatever. He actually is trailing Republican Mike Rogers for that Michigan seat, whereas Democrat Sherrod Brown is leading Republican John Husted by 8 points in Ohio for, I believe, that Senate seat. So people are kind of looking at the Midwest, and they're looking at where, where if that's a litmus test of where the Democrats are going or where the Republicans are going. But I'm hearing Republicans are feeling pretty happy and pretty confident that Abdul El Sayed, who has hitched his train to the Hassan Piker wagon to get popular and get some notoriety, that, he's trailing. But I want to warn you guys, I don't think it's going to be for long. We're hearing rumors that Obama may be deputized to get out there and support these candidates. And that's going to be very interesting because, for Obama to go on the record to support somebody who aligned himself with somebody who, was more pro-Hamas and anti-American with 9/11, that's going to, that can come back to haunt him. But many of the Democrats feel like we got to do whatever we can, even if it's these left-wing socialists or / communists. And so when they start getting the Obamas out there, because the Clintons aren't Bill Clinton used to just, I remember it was during the Obama convention, and my son was only, I think, maybe 6 at the time, and Bill Clinton is speaking. And my son is running around. He goes, "I like that guy. Who is he?" And I go, "Well, that was former President Bill Clinton." Yeah, everybody liked him. I voted for him. Yeah, he was very likable. And so they used Bill Clinton to get people around Obama. They used Obama to get behind Biden, and people were like, really? They used Obama to get behind Kamala Harris. So they're going to use Obama to get behind these individuals running for these very, very tight races, these tight seats. And moderate Democrats, you would think, would, be kind of put on they've all been now trained on what to say, because the Republicans are like, well, great, now we're going to put Haley Stevens. Haley Stevens says she's now supporting, Abdul Ahmed. How, Ahmed are, how does she feel about his rhetoric and they're already coming up with answers. I'm supporting the Democrats. I am supporting the Democratic system. If this is who the voters want, this is who I'm going to support. And when you ask him, you go, but he's campaigning with Hassan Piker, who says we deserve 9/11. Doesn't that concern you? Weren't you, AIPAC? Didn't the American Israeli Political Action Committee, with your Zionistic views, support you? And if Abdul El Sayed is not, at all, in support of Israel and helping Israel and funding Israel, and working with Israel, as America and Israel have a great partnership, keeping peace in the Middle East, and again, just radio silence on any substantive answer. So don't get too cocky. These candidates may still squeak a win. 1-877 Dr. Dolly.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So all eyes have been on the USS Lincoln after there's been reports that sailors have made multiple attempts to jump overboard. Now, this is obviously very, very concerning, and we're, kind of getting bits and pieces where some media outlets are saying these were all suicide attempts. Others are saying it was an accident. And so, obviously, this is something that we need to hash out and get to the root of. But, I watch a lot of World War II and World War I and history type thing. I'm just fascinated by that era. And, I'll watch these little boys, and they're, to me, they're little boys, 18, 19, going through the trials and tribulations of war, being at sea, being on tours away from family. And I look and I go, how many of them are able to, how did they stick with it? And I'm like, these guys are a lot stronger than kids nowadays. This is, now, in the Civil War, there were deserters, and I'm sure in any war, there's individuals that say, I can't take it anymore. Or they go crazy, or they, but to be on a ship or in a submarine and in closed spaces, how many of these sailors get the mental health stress test? You could do cardiac stress tests, but what about the mental health stress test? Now, somebody could say, oh, yeah, I could be on a ship, but after 5 days, they might really get stir crazy. So we're being told that the USS Abraham Lincoln is an aircraft carrier. It holds 5,000 people, and the carrier has been at sea since November 2025. And people are citing poor living conditions and morale. The Navy, U.S. Central Command, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth have pushed back on those claims of personnel problems. He says these have been completely misrepresented. He said, we make sure every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we could provide them at every single moment. Some deployments are longer than others, and I have more respect and gratitude for those sailors than anybody. He says what they do in those high seas and those austere conditions with less port calls is incredible. Now, this is what he told reporters during a visit in Panama on Thursday, the 13th. But as we spoke about with, fewer women wanting to have kids and fewer kids wanting to go to school, what is the mental health of our soldiers compared to, compared to where they were with the Vietnam War or World War II or World War I? With World War II and World War I and even the Civil War, people, they were like, I want to get out there and help. I want to see battle. I want to get my hands dirty. I want to get into this. But then once you see the realism of it, you're like, okay, I'm out. And we've been wondering how recruitment has been. Recruitment has been up since the Trump administration, as opposed to the Biden administration, because people didn't want to do a lot of woke stuff, et cetera. But I've been wondering, and a lot of us have been concerned, because recruitment, not only is, do the sailors and do the servicemen and women feel valued, but what are their other options? So when I was growing up, I couldn't afford college. Thank God I got a scholarship. But if I wanted to go to college, with the exception of borrowing money, which I didn't want to do, the option was military. And I was seriously considering doing military so I could get my school paid for. Also, I wanted to see the world. I want to be all I could be. Well, nowadays, people can travel easier. They could see things online. So rather than, a picture of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, they're watching videos of what it's like. They're already so the romanticism of it, well, I get to be in another place, is not as much now that, we're able to visualize, and virtual games and things like that, so people don't feel like, gosh, I'm just here in the Midwest, looking at cornfields. What is life like across the pond, sort of thing. But also, you have many individuals watching tunnel to tower commercials and things like that. And God bless tunnel to towers. But you have young individuals going, I don't want that to be me where I'm young and paralyzed, or my face blown off. So I think I'll just sit home in my mom's basement playing video games. It's safer. And so we've been wondering, what has been behind the grit of people wanting to get out there and put their lives on the line for our country. Well, one is they have more faith in this administration. They have faith in Pete Hegseth. They have faith that it's not going to be political narratives over their well-being. But then this happens and people are like, well, what's going on? And NBC News says there's no supplies and a food shortage. then family members are saying there's plumbing issues, water contamination, moldy showers, broken toilets, mail delivery disruptions. Now, that's different than Pete Hegseth saying anything they need, they get. Now, will a toilet break with 5,000 people using it? Yeah, I am sure there's plumbing issues. I can't tell you how many times we have toilet issues in my house, and I'm not even on a ship. So, yes, there could be. But if somebody is feeling they don't have plumbing, they don't have good food, they don't have resources, they're not going to want to finish out their duty. So the sailor that went over, according to USA Today, 3 U.S. officials told CNN that the sailor was wearing a life vest and he was rescued within an hour and was not injured. He was recovered by an air wing search and rescue helicopter, treated by the ship's medical department, and transferred off ship for follow-up care. So if somebody wanted to commit suicide, they wouldn't have worn the life vest. But then somebody's story is off. Either he wasn't wearing a life vest or he wasn't suicidal. Or he went crazy, where he's there, he's with his life vest, he's just not thinking clearly, and he's like, I'm out. CENTCOM is denying a spike in suicidal ideations aboard the vessel. In August 13th, on an X post, CENTCOM said the rampant misreporting on Abraham Lincoln's historic deployment is a disservice to our men and women in uniform and their loved ones. USA Today reached out to the U.S. Navy for comment about conditions. And so this is what we're getting. The USS Lincoln is a 5,000-person Nimitz-class aircraft carriers. They support and operate aircraft that engage in air attacks on airborne, afloat, and ashore targets that threaten free use of the sea and engage in sustained power projection operations in support of U.S. and coalition forces. Being on tours of duty for months, do happen in the military, but are some people getting stir crazy? Were they not prepared for this? Are conditions that bad? Or is the media trying to, again, intervene with the Iran defanging and the Iran war, and then trying to distract? Somebody falling off a ship is some serious stuff, even if it wasn't on purpose. That has to be investigated. We should not be falling off ships or jumping in. So obviously there does need to be some work that has to be done. But are we looking at a younger generation where deployment, and here we are, if it got deployed from San Diego November 21st, we're looking at 9 months. And is that, something that the average now younger generation cannot do? And again, I think the men and women in our military are some of the strongest, most finest, human specimens out there that can do, anything their fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers did in the military. But, obviously something went wrong here. We need to look at that. We need to make sure there's plenty of resources. And we need to make sure that a soldier's mental health is also being addressed like their physical health. And then have a way to get them off safely. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.